Time to add one more video into the giant pool of beginner bike content on the internet. Today, instead of rehashing the same old plasticky Big 4 motorcycles that feel like they're gonna fall apart if you look at them too hard, we're taking a look at some premium motorcycles you can buy and feel proud to display. Let's face it, no one wants to get just any motorcycle. You want something special, and there's not much special about your Ninja 400s, your R3s, or anything like that. Maybe to a normie, they look fast, but to any motorcyclist, they're just another beginner bike. There's no way to gussy up your 300 class sport bike and make it more substantial. Instead, I've collected 7 motorcycles that you can buy on showroom floors right now, or maybe in a little while, that will impress not only your non-rider friends and family, but also have your fellow riders nodding in silent approval. We're going to rank them in order from premiumness, meaning that number 7 is going to be the least impressive of the lot, and number 1 is going to feel properly special when you ride it out from the dealership. Speaking of properly special, have you heard the good news about Manscaped's brand new Lawnmower 4.0? It's a brand spanking new ball shaver that somehow managed to improve on the perfection that was the Lawnmower 3.0. It's like Triumph making a new 2013 Daytona 675R, but with all the modern goodies. I mean, let me read you the feature list on this bad boy right now. You've got artfully designed two-tone bodywork with foil stamped logo, new wireless charging function, and a 90-minute battery life just in case your 20-minute pube shaving adventure turns into an hour-and-a-half's test of strength and determination, like installing a full exhaust system on your motorcycle for the first time. You've also got a travel lock so you don't accidentally run your battery down when you're shaving on the go, and a set of trimmer guards so you can select the exact length of your pubes just in case you don't want to be as smooth as a naked mole rat. Get your hands on the Lawnmower 4.0 by clicking the link down below, and when you do, you'll get yourself a cool 20% off your order. No codes or anything. Isn't that cool? Now let's talk about some bikes. Number 7 goes to the Honda CB500X. Now I know what you're thinking, Yam, that's quite a change of tone given how much of a fan you were of the CBR 500R. Here's the thing on the CBR 500R. It's a sport bike, but it rides all wrong. The 471cc parallel twin doesn't rev out in the way you'd want to in a sport bike, and the ergonomics are beyond relaxed, and it's a bit heavy too. In the X package though, the engine makes a bit more sense. It's a sport touring focused ADV mini bike, so read a dad bike, but it's putting down 47 horsepower and 32 foot-pounds of torque, which is more than enough for your on-the-go tour. Hit some light gravel trails or just commute in comfort. The lazy power delivery makes the bike easy to ride, and it's packing the usual Honda build quality. You might confuse the CB500X with your neighbor's Honda lawnmower, but when you consider that your other options from the Big 4 are limited to the tune of one sad and lonely Versus 300, the CB starts to make a lot more sense. It helps that the modern bikes have a much more modern look about it too. It's got the same wine red color as the CB650R, and aside from some relatively budget suspension components, the package is really set up for a beginner ADV or a sport touring rider. With ABS, it's a little expensive for what it is. It's $7,999, which is one of the big reasons it's so low down on the list. Number 6 goes to the only other entry from the Big 4 today. It's the KLX300SM and Dual Sport. Think of these like the WR250R, but cheaper. It's not a full-blown replacement for the WR, but as an alternative to the DRZ's ancient carbs and Honda's heavy CRF, the KLX is probably the best dual sport or supermoto you can get your hands on under 10 grand. At $5,999, you're getting yourself a 292cc of fire-breathing fury. Not really, it's putting down 33 horse and 21 foot-pounds of torque, but it's more than enough to get it up to highway speed. If you want to see how this bike stacks up to its competition, we did a video on the WR and we spent a good amount of time comparing the two. But suffice it to say, this bike is going to be one that seasoned riders would be jealous of. Unfortunately, normies won't give it a second look just because it's a dirt bike. You could attempt to explain the subtle differences between a supermoto and a dirt bike, but their eyes will glaze over faster than if you busted out the dictionary and started reading it to them. Number 5 goes to the Harley Sportster. Look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this bike because it's been featured on a handful of lists lately, but there's no way that you're not going to impress people when you roll up on a Harley-Davidson. Both the 883 and the 1200s can work as beginner bikes, though I'd recommend the 883 if you've never ridden or are on the younger side. We can laugh at Harleys for being underpowered, but when you weigh them up against other beginner cruisers, they're actually not that much slower. They're heavier, which isn't the best for beginners, but they do have lower seat heights, which make them easier to manage. The thing that makes a Sportster beginner bike to be proud of is the build quality and how it feels to ride the bike. No matter how you slice it, the Sportster feels substantial. The tank is metal, the fenders are metal, and while the buttons are laid out stupid, they feel nice to use. Seriously, on the buttons though, Harley, what the hell? Why do you have 2 blinker buttons? Just use a rocker switch like everyone else. If I were looking to get a sporty as my first bike, I'd have my head checked, but if you're looking to get into the cruiser life, check out your local Craigslist for used 883s. They're the most common Sportster to pick up secondhand and in good shape with a few choice mods because because people buy them and then outgrow them pretty quickly. That way you can have a nice bike with an exhaust already installed. Number 4 goes to a lot of motorcycles. Yeah, you heard me. There's 5 different bikes crammed into this one entry. The KTM 390 motorcycles. Those being the Duke 390, 390 Adventure, the RC 390, and the Husqvarna Svartpillen and Vitpillen 401s. Every single one of these bikes is a motorcycle you can ride high on, knowing you made a superior choice to your buddies on their big 4 beginner bikes. Why? Because the 373cc single is putting down a respectable 44 horsepower and 27 foot-pounds of torque, and the power delivery is fun and playful. Not only that, but these bikes are lightweight and feature fully adjustable WP Apex suspension. But wait, there's more! On pretty much all these bikes, you can disable the rear wheel ABS, you can lock up the rear and slide the bike around. And if you go for the Duke or the 390 ADV, you get even more. A TFT display, optional quick shifter, Bluetooth connectivity, and a jar for storing the tiers of noobs who made inferior choices. If it were my money, I would grab myself a Svartpillen 401, as I've told you guys many times. We featured one as a giveaway bike a little while ago, and it was genuinely surprising how much fun that bike was. It handled beautifully, it popped wheelies like no one's business, and you can take it off-road thanks to its Pirelli Rally Scorpion stock. You'd be surprised how well that bike does off-road in stock trim. You're not going to be doing massive jumps with it, and its ground clearance leaves a little bit to be desired, but as a bike that can do anything and everything, it's a great way to get your feet wet off-road. The best part is that people are always blown away by how it looks. No matter where you go, you're going to have people asking questions or checking your bike out, and that's a really cool feeling, whether you're a noob or a rusted out vet. Number 3, the Triumph Bonneville Street Twin. Bonnies are great. No matter which one you choose, you've got a lot of choice. For this list, we chose the Street Twin because it's the cheapest one in the lineup at $9,400. That's still a sizable chunk of change, so this isn't just for any beginner, but if you're a little older, have some previous experience, I can't think of a better bike to pick up. It's got the lovable little 900cc parallel twin putting down 64 horsepower and 59 foot-pounds of torque. If you're a fresh-faced squid with more money in the bank than miles under your belt and are dying to live your hipster life, you can actually start reasonably confidently on this motorcycle despite its displacement and power. The engine makes its power like a cruiser, which means that it's slow revving, and while it's torquey, it's not going to overwhelm you. Like the Harley, the Triumph has a build quality that's second to none, and unlike the Sportster, the Bonnie has a sublime throttle feel. It's buttery smooth, as is the ride. It's the perfect blend of old school looks, but all modern from the top on down. The best part is that you have a 270-degree crank, which means you won't sound like some dweeb on a Z650 or a Versa 650. Number 2 goes to an oddball entry, but one that will have you looking down your nose at everyone else in smug superiority. It's the Moto Guzzi V7 III, but there's some other models if you're willing to get one secondhand. They're all using the same 744cc longitudinally mounted air-cooled V-twin, making 52 horsepower and 44 foot-pounds of torque. The base model is the Special E4, which is your classic standard motorcycle with the dual sweeping analog tack and speedo, a handcrafted feel, and some surprising features you might not expect. The bike comes with MGMP or Moto Guzzi multimedia platform, which allows you to sync your phone up to your bike, allowing you to look at up to 5 different engine parameters at once. You can see a live view of your horsepower, torque, fuel consumption, lean angle, and all sorts of other stuff. You can also enable an Eco Ride feature to allow you to squeeze more miles out of a tank. It's a flashy feature which admittedly isn't going to be changing your life or making the bike feel fancier, but it's a way to add some modern readouts to an old bike. It would be nice if they managed to integrate it into your dashboard somewhere, but it might ruin the look and feel of the bike. My personal favorite V7 is the X Anniversary E4 because of how pretty it is. In classic Italian style, it's a rolling work of art as the mirror finished chrome tank, red frame, number plate, and headlight cowl. It's not as expensive as you might think too, running only $9,990. If you're a noob rolling around on a chrome Moto Guzzi, you've got some serious bragging rights right there. Number 1, it's the Ducati Scrambler 62. Did you know that Ducati actually makes an honest-to-goodness beginner bike? It's the Scrambler 62, actually spelled S-I-X-T-Y, and then the number 2 because Ducati. It features a 399cc air-cooled Desmo V-twin putting down 40 horsepower and 25 foot-pounds of torque. Yep, there's no qualifiers here. No, it's good if you're older, or you should take it easy on this one. Just a straight-up beginner bike that looks and feels as premium as any of the other Scramblers, both with an engine that anyone can ride. They claim it's their most popular Scrambler in the family, but for some reason they put popular in quotations on the website, which is weird, but I could understand why. You can put this bike in a line with all the other Scramblers and it pretty much looks exactly the same. It's the perfect choice for someone who wants a responsible engine that they can use every drop of on the street, and a bike that doesn't feel like the grown-up version of a Happy Meal toy. The best part is that it's cheaper than the Bonnie, the Moto Guzzi, and the Harley, costing you only 7,995 clams. Go get yourself one and beat the crap out of it. Fact: an episode of Peppa Pig was pulled from Australian television for teaching children not to fear spiders. You should definitely fear spiders. Goodbye. You've made it to the end of a Yammie Noob video. Did you like what you saw? Do you want to see more of it? Check it out, right here, just like magic, waiting for you. Click this little square, right here, more memes, more Yammie, more of my face. Isn't that great?